That's alright, Mama. That's alright with you. That's alright, Mama. And just in the way you do. That's alright. That's alright. That's alright now, Mama. Anyway, do. Come on, now. Can you feel the pain? Into him now. About this new world. Ain't no track. Papa's got a brand new eye.
Welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me show. Leeroy's in the house with special guest Scott Newgent. And no, it's not what it looks like. It's not tomorrow. It's tonight. It's today. It's right now. Scott's in the green room, hanging out, waiting, being silent, patient. It's fantastic. Most people are talking about, hey guys, what's up? It's not ready for Scott. Scott knows that. It's not his first rodeo, folks. He's done some very big shows. He's had a chance to work with Candace Owens and Matt Walsh and other amazing people. We'll talk about it tonight. Leeroy found this gentleman and said, let's get Scott on the show, and Scott was acquiesced to our request. I'm going to be playing, I don't know, passenger in the car and not driving tonight. And not that I always drive, because Leeroy and I share the responsibilities on the road, but this will be something that I wanted to really listen to, maybe have a couple questions. I've got the question of the night already in the bag. I know that. But otherwise, everything's going to be good. So here's the deal, folks. We are taking donations throughout the show. We're going to be raising $300 is what we're looking for to help the show continue to grow. We want to get this out to everybody all over Twitter, Rumble, Facebook, YouTube, all of the wonderful places that we participate in this show. This will be a fun one. We will have some time for Q&A. We're going to see if we can do the full 2 hours with Scott. If he's boring, we're just going to kick him out. But we anticipate him not being that way. Leeroy will do a soft intro here once we get past the intro to the show, and then we're going to be rocking and rolling. Leeroy, did you want to add anything to this?
No. You know what? I'm going to ask. The driving analogy, why is it you get to do all the dangerous stuff and all I get to do is parallel park?
That's a really good question, because the woman always sits in a passenger seat, so that's why. So we're going to rock and roll, folks. We're going to cut it early. Leeroy, I'm just kidding. You know that. I love him. We're going to be back with Scott Newgent in just a few.
Are you tired of being so confused? You feel like you're more fucked up than the lies on the evening news? Well, just step right in. We can talk about it all as friends. And if you want, we can hug and kiss and make up for the party ends. Agree or disagree, stop offering me. 'Cause I'm everything you want, damn sure what you need. I won't tell no lies, back up all the facts with truth. And if you can't get down with that, you must be somebody's dog.
Hello everyone, good morning. Brandon from Still Point. Just wanted to give you guys an update on everything going on. Give a big hell yeah to Matt Spear from the Don't Unfriend Me show. The Barry Morgenstein photo shoot. There's Leeroy. Look at him, looking great. Olivia looking stunning as always. Look at there, baby. Rocking the lid. Barry has done photo shoots with kings, presidents, the Pope, rock and roll royalty, Jimi Hendrix. Come on now. It's so awesome that our music is finally catching on after all this time. And you know we're going to always keep on rocking in the free world, baby. Make sure you tune in to the Don't Unfriend Me show every weeknight at 7 p.m. EST. The new stuff is dropping on all platforms very soon. We got it uploaded now, but we're getting on the Spotify playlist. You know how you have to do that. So be on the lookout for that. Go download it. Go support Still Point, and go support the Don't Unfriend Me show. Matt, Leeroy, Olivia, Amy, we love you guys. Ethan, baby, we love you. And we will see you all soon. We're getting everything ready, and it's going to be badass. We'll see you on the stage soon. Keep on rocking in the free world.
Welcome to this very special edition of the Don't Unfriend Me show. As always, we have our friend Matt, who apparently likes to drive. I didn't know that I was the passenger all the time. And with a special guest with us today is Scott Newgent. Scott Newgent was a successful business sales executive named Kelly King, a top performer who earned various awards and recognition. However, at the age of 42, Scott made the difficult decision to transition. Since the surgery, Scott has suffered numerous medical complications and is now using those experiences to warn those who are considering transitioning of the dangers. Scott has founded TReVoices. We're going to ask him about that later. And was also on the Matt Walsh special, What is a Woman? Scott, welcome to the show. This can be a heavy topic, but it's important to have these discussions. And for those conversations, if you don't have these conversations, I think we can both agree that it puts people at risk where they don't have all of the information that is absolutely required, especially when you're making permanent decisions about your body. So welcome to the show, Scott.
I agree. Thanks. Thank you, Leeroy. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. I was really kind of careful to structure these questions in a way to not be repetitive. I feel like that you've probably answered these questions. I watched a handful of your news episodes where you'd appeared on various media outlets, but also the Matt Walsh thing. So I wanted to make sure that I was asking some different questions. So if these catch any of you off guard, you know, I completely get it. You went through transition at 42. That would have been around 2014. So there's a little bit of a difference between you and teenagers in high school or younger. Do you feel that there's a difference in the mental states between that some people have as teenagers that might make them more vulnerable?
Well, sure. I think we're all human beings, from the get-go. When you are a teenager, you're much more apt to be kind of molded into different ideas. I mean, our brain doesn't fully develop until we're 25. I talk about that with my children. There was a time when we were watching a toddler around a swimming pool, and they just kept, circling the toddler, and not letting the toddler go in the water. And later that day, I asked, why were you so concerned about the toddler around the water? Well, because the toddler can't swim. And I was like, well, was the toddler dumb? Doesn't the toddler know he can't swim? And they looked at me like I was an idiot. And I tried to reiterate to them that is just seeing around corners. It's not that toddler is dumb. It's just seeing around corners. Well, every year in adolescence, you get, the ability to see a little bit more around the corners, a little bit more around the corner. And so that doesn't fully develop until we're 25. Now, I was 42, my brain completely and fully developed, and I was hornswoggled into it. It is a very alluring idea that you get to fit. And that is the correlation that goes with almost everybody that medically transitions, is they don't feel like they fit. And if you tell somebody that doesn't fit that they can fit, there's really nothing else. It's kind of a lockjaw, right? It's like a pit bull lockjaw. They don't want to get rid of that from that point of view. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. I want to ask, were you diagnosed with gender dysphoria?
I was, but here's the thing. Most people that medically transition, or a lot of people, or some people that medically transition, do not have gender dysphoria. It was homophobia for me. It was,
Really?
not wanting to be a lesbian. And there are some people that understand that, medical transition is cosmetic surgery from the get-go. But people who have true gender dysphoria, the ones that are like anorexics, where they're 90 pounds and they see somebody that's 400 pounds in the mirror, those people that medically transition, that gender dysphoria that they have said is not a mental illness, which is absolutely a mental illness. Those people that medically transition, I was talking to Matt before we went on the show. Those people are the people, in my opinion, and my opinion is I'm around the community, are the ones who do the worst with medical transition, because it's just affirming. It's like affirming the anorexic. Like, you know what? Yeah, you are 90 pounds, but you are fat. So you need to lose more weight. And there's never an end to it because it's a mental illness, right? There's never an end to it. There's more and more and more. And it's an addiction until you get at that addiction that, hey, you know what? You are not the opposite sex. What you're seeing in the mirror is not right. Let's sit back and talk about this. Until that happens, medical transition makes them worse and worse and worse and worse. And those are the people that actually commit suicide.
It's like a snowball effect, honestly.
Yeah.
You know what? It sounds like a closed loop. Like once you're in that echo chamber, it's hard as hell to get out of, especially if you are, we'll say, struggling. Yeah, that's pretty terrifying.
The Matt Walsh interview, we've got just a clip of that. I want to make sure we bring that into the conversation because it's a fantastic piece, and I know it'll help you guys get a little understanding of Scott's backstory. And Scott, you can add to this real quick. I want to make sure we had that up for you, and then we'll move to some new questions. Scott, I got to put you in the window. I forgot to do that, but we're going to play that right now, and I'll get you in the window.
I never fit. I was an alpha female, a sales executive that kind of just didn't fit in any box. When psychologists or somebody that I was in love with or whatever said that I was in the wrong body, I started to think, well, maybe I am. I'm a biological woman that medically transitioned to appear like a male through synthetic hormones and surgery. I will never be a man. Is it transphobic for me to tell the truth? Why is it that a couple hundred years from now, if you dug up my body, they're gonna go, yeah, that was a woman, had babies.
Can you tell me about the procedures that you had?
I've had 7 surgeries. I've had 1 stress heart attack. I've had a helicopter life ride with a pulmonary embolism. I've had 17 rounds of antibiotics. I had 6 inches of hair on the inside of my urethra for 17 months. Nobody would help me, including the doctor that did this to me because I lost my insurance. I get infections every 3 to 4 months. I'm probably not gonna live very long.
Was there any real discussion of the risks and the side effects?
No, there's not. And I know that people want to think that there is, but there's not. The truth is that medical transition is experimental. We have studies that said that medical transition helps mental health with kids. They've all been retracted, modified, changed. But the only long-term study tells us 7 to 10 years is when transgender people are the most suicidal. After surgery. But that's transphobic to say. For the first time in history, a marginalized group has a huge dollar sign on the top of their head. We have 5 children's hospitals in the United States promoting that.
And what?
That's a phalloplasty. That's a bottom surgery. We have 5 children's hospitals in the United States telling girls that they can be boys at $70,000 a pop in a surgery that has a 67% complication rate. That will kill me from infection, that I can't sue on. We're butchering a generation of children because nobody's willing to talk about anything. I have 3 kids. At the age that they're doing this to kids, I'm not transphobic. I love my kids, and I love other people's kids, and you should too. This is wrong.
Yeah.
On so many levels.
Can kids consent? Do you think kids are capable of consenting to this?
No, they're not.
Right.
Being a parent is loving the hell out of your kids and helping them see around corners.
Exactly. That is.
I don't watch. That's the most I've ever watched of that. I don't watch that.
Yeah. Wow. That's powerful.
Yeah, I don't like watching that. That is a really, really hard time in my life. It was a really, really hard time afterwards. That documentary absolutely put my life into total turmoil. I lost 3 jobs, almost homeless from doing that documentary. That documentary, if I had to go over and do it again, I'm glad that it helped a lot of people. But for my family, I absolutely 100% would have never done it. Never done it.
That is heart-wrenching to hear.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's incredible. Go ahead, Leeroy.
And I'm so sorry
that was the second worst mistake of my life. The first mistake was to medically transition. Second mistake was to say yes to Matt Walsh and What Is a Woman.
I am so sorry to hear that. And here's the thing. The emotions that play out on that, like it's enough of a red flag already to go, oh, all right, look, something's up here. What is going on?
Scott, I need to ask too.
Go ahead.
Do you think Matt Walsh took advantage of you, Scott?
Absolutely, 100%, unequivocally, yes.
Expand, because that's the only reason to have that reaction. So, can you walk me through what does that mean? How did he do that, and what do you think?
Oh, you know what? Here's the thing. There's goods and bads to every human being, and I'm not saying bads or goods or of Matt Walsh. I know he's a business person,
sure,
but that documentary came out. Nobody told me when it was going to come out. I got bombarded with a whole bunch of questions when I was at work. Nobody told me that when it was going to be coming out. Nobody told me when the trailer was coming out. I actually, wrote in and said, I'm not emotionally okay to do this. Can you please take me out of this? Nobody contacted me back. This movie came out, and not only did it come out, it came out with Matt Walsh and Candace Wallens and everybody calling me the hero. Nobody called me and told me that was going to happen. Nobody called me and prepared me for any interviews. Nobody called and asked me if I was okay. Nobody called me and said, hey, you know what? I'm sorry that you lost a job and you can't support your kids. How can I help you get up on social media? Nobody helped me when I was banned from Twitter and Instagram and TikTok all the way down the line. Nobody helped me. Nobody called me. I was the piece of shit LGBTQ person that was thrown to the wolves and used, and I did it. And the reason why that touched so many people is because in activism, we have all these people that are wanting to get clicks, they're wanting to get famous, they're wanting to do this. I did this for one reason. I did it to save children, and people can see that. And so from that point of view, now that I've stepped back and, I finally found a job where I'm making money for my kids, I'm doing this on my own pace now. I'm doing this because I want to, and I'm saying yes for things that I want to. But did Matt use me in that video? Fucking A, he did.
Yeah.
That book that he came out with, What Is a Woman?
Yeah.
I didn't even know I was in that. I didn't even know there was articles that were written. You know how I got this book? And found out I was fucking in it?
You bought it yourself.
Matt Walsh's wife sent it to me.
No way.
She was like, Matt hasn't sent this to you? I said, no, I had no idea I was in it.
Did he autograph it or anything like that? Leave you a note, send an email, nothing?
Something?
A fucking thing.
Wow.
And then I did a speech, and finally I got on to where I could get monetized on TikTok after a speech that I did with Matt Walsh, because I was in it, because I had gotten fired. There's nothing I could do. I found a job. I got fired after that speech, got kicked off of TikTok. Last month was the first time I've ever been able to monetize anything on social media. I made $600 in 7 years of this. And then the only other time I made money was when Matt Walsh was doing his year anniversary. He knew when his assistant called me, because I begged her for $200 to get cab rides back and forth. Everybody's taking limos back and forth, but I'm the piece of shit LGBTQ, right? So, I begged for a couple $100 for cab rides. And I got home and got fired from another job. And Matt's assistant, called me and said, hey, we need receipts for your taxi rides. And I said, you know what? You could tell Matt to shove those receipts up his fucking ass. And then a couple of months later, the year anniversary came out, and all of a sudden they're like, hey, we got a $5,000 purse for you to fly out here and be in the year. So yes, Matt, you want to know the truth? I'll always tell the truth. That's the truth. There's your leaders.
Well, he's certainly not my leader, but I think there's people who are starting to question a lot of these social media influencers who this is a path of destruction that they tend to leave behind. And you should always try to leave people better than you found it. So listen, I appreciate the honesty and the directness, and that makes a lot of sense. And I will tell you, looking at it from both ways, it's extremely powerful. And whether who gets credit for it or who has not given you the due respect that you deserve, it still is a powerful message. And I wish there was a better story to that. I'm sorry that it went that way. Leeroy, go ahead. We obviously dug into something that's pretty crazy, man. It's hard to believe.
Here's the thing. The show is all about, and it's unfortunate that it has to happen in some ways, and in some ways like this, where we expose that raw nerve, right? And our intent here is not to exploit anyone. It's to give everyone a voice. I don't care. That's it. Like, you just say your story.
I'm not in a vulnerable place anymore. Yeah. I was during that interview. I knew that I had been writing bills and helping bills get passed. There's 27 bills that have passed to stop the medicalization of children. I helped started those, 7-8 years ago. I was on Twitter just screaming my head off, just trying to get people to understand. I knew that I had to do an emotional interview. I knew that I had to let that raw cord out. I knew it. I did it, and I realized I wasn't ready. I was still recovering from almost dying. I was still recovering from financially, losing my career. I was still recovering from all of that. I could have used a little fucking compassion. I could have used, hey, we're gonna use you as a hero. And I know this is a lot. How are you doing? What can we do to help you? How are you okay? Instead of me a month before, please take me out. I'm not emotionally ready. Silence.
Did you sign NDAs or sign any releases at all in any way, shape, or form?
Shit. They can sue me for whatever the hell they want. I've got 2 cents.
That's not what I'm asking. So I'm asking if you signed releases for them to go ahead and use this story in particular.
Probably.
Okay. Yeah. Probably. It's. Yeah. Well, I apologize that. Yeah.
I mean, on so many levels, both from the medical perspective and then from the social media perspective, Scott, you just feel like you've been used just over and over again. And I'm so sorry that happened to you.
But I'll tell you what, you can take life as being a victim. And yes, you're absolutely right on that. But I'll tell you what, when I look in the mirror and I talk to people about medicalization of children, when I talk to them about getting the LGBTQ out of the school system, people believe me. And people believe me is because they know it's coming from in here. It's not coming from anywhere else.
Right.
It's not coming from anywhere else trying to get any kind of attention. Nothing. It's the fact that we have 27, and I came back into this because we have 27 bills that have passed to ban the medicalization of gender-confused children across the country. Out of 27 bills, how many states do you think are enforcing this bill?
Tell me.
Very, very few.
1.
Yeah.
Iowa. Now, you can even go even further with this. And this is what we're getting into, is all these things that people talk about that people don't want to listen to. You need to listen to this. Texas. We have Texas. We have a governor, right? Governor Abbott, who's an evangelical, who is crying that he's the one that has stopped the medicalization of gender-confused children. Well, what people don't want to listen to is the fact in 2015, he started taking money from queer gender clinics. Austin is the worldwide hub for the medicalization of gender-confused children from all over the world. And so we had a bill a couple of years after he took those millions that he pushed off the floor. He took $450,000 from a queer gender clinic, pushed that bill off the floor. The next year, he was pushed so much that he had to pass it. And he passed it and then said that he was the one that stopped the medicalization of gender-confused children. 3 months later, said that medically transitioning children was child abuse. And then all of a sudden, Austin became a sanctuary city. So not only is Austin still the hub for medically transitioning children, We have a governor that takes millions of dollars from it. We have people like Candace Owens who knows about it, who I said on her show, and she would out him, did nothing because that's a friend of the family's. We have so many people in this circle that's making so much money on clicks and are throwing children under the bus because they really don't care. And until
when you
we
say-
get our heads out of our asses of these social media, like people that people look up to like gods, that's the problem. When you have a social media that is taking something so far right, and you have social media on the other side taking it so far left, well, balance comes from the middle, right? But that's not where all the entertainment comes from. So, for example, medically transitioning kids, there's absolutely no reason for it, none whatsoever. But there are some people who are adults who understand that it's cosmetic surgery, and they do it, and it does help their life a little bit, and they deserve dignity and respect. There's the gray. That doesn't make money. That doesn't make money.
Wow.
Well, yeah, I think that's fair enough. Go ahead, Leeroy.
When you were when you first saw the doctor about making that transition and looking back on it now, like, do you feel like what was the first red flag as you kind of look back on that experience?
You know, I've said this a lot, but I'll tell you, I was engaged to a woman who was a very strict Catholic, very, very religious, was convinced that, was not a lesbian, that it was just me. And, used to joke that I was born in the wrong body. So one night we're watching Jazz Jennings, and I'm like, God, I wonder if I was born in the wrong body. And she was like, yeah. And so the next week I put myself in front of a trans woman therapist with my fiance, and she asked me a question that I believe changed the trajectory of my life. She asked me, how long have you been dressing like a man? Now, I have a suit and tie on right now, but before I medically transitioned, you couldn't tell that, you would not question me being a man. You just wouldn't. I was a makeup artist. I used to do hair. I mean, I knew what I was doing with that. And I was like a Gillian Anderson of business attire, right? Mm-hmm. But even at 42, sitting in front of that woman that said that to me, that trans woman or man or whatever, that hit me in the heart so bad that I was thinking for 2 weeks, it was the worst I ever felt in my whole life. I walked around thinking that everybody passing me is going, oh my God, that's Kelly. That's a dude. And he doesn't even know it. What an idiot. And I was like, God, I've been a total laughingstock my entire life. And then I went to a gynecologist who said, have you ever had a intersex test? Because you've got a jawline right here that is very strong. This is a very masculine. We can run the test, but you just waste. I know that it's probably that. And I was thinking, well, God, this is it. This is why nothing's made sense my whole life. I'm not a lesbian. I'm a straight man. And it was all of a sudden this whole world of belonging opens up.
Right.
And you're like, man, nobody's going to take that from me.
Tell me about Lupron.
Lupron is the company that started that makes puberty blockers. Now, Lupron in 2004. Now, this is the company that says that puberty blockers are safe for gender dysphoria. It's a black box drug, by the way. Black box drug. Do you know what that is?
No.
Black box drugs means in the pharmacy world that this is a really, really, really gnarly drug. Only prescribe this if you really, 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 really have to. And so in 2004, Lupron was sued by the U.S. government and deemed a criminal enterprise for marketing fraud and bribery. So bribing politicians and marketing fraud for their drug. They paid more than any other lawsuit ever in pharmaceutical history at the point. Like that. Like that.
Kidding.
That's the company that says that this is safe for children. Now, in Sweden is a leading country for the medicalization of human beings.
Right.
They have halted and stopped all medical transition for children with puberty blockers because puberty blockers are starting to create kind of spinal problems where we have like 16-year-old girls walking like this. You ever seen a 90-year-old woman like that?
Right. like
that never
osteoporosis.
to be
Yeah.
upright. Probably won't live past 27. We've got these kids, these 20-year-olds that have hearts and lungs the size of 11-year-olds because they weren't grown, and they don't grow. There's a timeline on those organs. If they don't grow at that time, it's not like you can get off of Lupron that can grow. So they've got 11-year-old hearts with 25-year-old bodies. We have girls that are getting pulmonary embolisms or getting heart attacks. Just take a look at my website. There was somebody that died from a phalloplasty a couple of weeks ago from an infection. These things are gnarly. Today in Michigan, today was passed that queer theory, gender ideology will start to be taught in school systems in kindergarten. Now you tell me how much Matt Walsh and Candace Owens have done to stop all of this. They haven't. It keeps getting bigger. It keeps getting bigger because they are not the ones that need to lead this. The people that change hearts and minds can. So it's people like me that can say to you, hey, I'm a lesbian that medically transitioned. Did you know that gender ideology was formed by 3 individuals? The first was a pedophile. The second one was okay with pedophile. The third one was a lesbian that was okay with pedophilia as long as the child enjoyed themselves. That's the basis of queer theory. And that's being taught in the school systems. But we have so many people fighting on the right and the left.
Right.
That these kids are being butchered, mind, body, and soul for entertainment purposes, for click purposes. Nobody wants to support people like me that could change hearts and minds. You get me in front of a school board, you get me in front of the United States with having a voice, having a microphone, I change hearts and minds. I stop this. The problem is that nobody wants to stop this. That's in social media, period.
You know, I feel like everybody who's watching this and anybody who lives in the state of Michigan, you should probably reach out to your congressmen, your senators, call them and say, what the hell?
It's
And
passed. It just passed.
right.
Half an hour
But I
ago.
mean,
Good job.
kindergarten.
Kindergarten.
My God.
Gender
Okay.
ideology
So
and sexual identity studies. So how people cannot correlate that speaking to a child about sexual ideology is not pedophilia, is not normalizing pedophilia. They're children. They're not supposed to be having sex or thinking about sex. Anybody that was molested or sexually assaulted as a child knows that you don't talk about that stuff. That's like taking a knife down your chest, cutting it open, spread your chest open, and everything on the inside is your feelings, and it switches everything around, and you sew it back up, and you don't know what's up or down, and you just send them out in the world. You don't talk to kids about sexuality in kindergarten. Are you nuts?
Scott, let's say you meet a teenager who thinks that they're born in the wrong body today, and they ask you for advice. What do you say?
Well, I would say the truth that when I was 16, I thought I was going to be a country music star. I mean, I thought I was going to be Winona Judd. I thought it was going to be better than Winona Judd. Here's the problem. I can't sing, but you couldn't have convinced me that at 16. I mean, I cannot not sing. I mean, I'm tone deaf, but you couldn't have convinced me at 16 that I wasn't going to be a country music singer. And I would say, so here's the truth. There's somebody that says that's going to be a country music singer, and you might be the person that grows up that thinks that cosmetic surgery is something that can help you. But until you're able to see around corners, until you're able to understand what this does and what this doesn't do, because as a parent, I have no right to make those kind of decisions for you. None whatsoever. Me allowing you to make those decisions or me making those decisions. So you're 16. We got a couple of more years. Let's talk about it for 2 years and let's see where you're at 16.
So your advice to parents then would be to, put a halt on that and tell them to wait it out until they're 18, 19, 20. What do we say that the male or anybody's brain is fully developed? It's like in the early 20s, right?
25.
So you would at least have them wait that long, right?
Yeah, this is what I tell parents. I tell parents to not flip out. I tell them that, listen, this is how I tell them to talk to their child. Listen, I don't know. I don't know much about this. All I know is I love you, and this could be something that I don't know. But Dad and I, or Mom and I, really want to understand this. So help us understand this. And every Sunday or every other Sunday, sit down and have them bring a positive for medical transition, and have them bring a negative. And then you sit down and you talk about it. And you go, if you do that until you're 18 years old, or till you're 22, or till you graduate from college, and we have those conversations, at the time that you're an adult, if you decide to medically transition, hell, I will sew cheerleading outfits, and I will do the cheerleading choo-choo all the way to the office, if that's what it takes. And people, they'll talk themselves out of it.
Scott, there's a question from Carrie Spricks, who's one of our listeners. Says, Scott, did you seek counseling before transitioning? And if so, who recommended your counselor? Did the counselor talk you into it?
I was referred to a transgender woman. I saw her twice, and she's the one that said that, how long have you been dressing like a man? So no, there's no medical testing. And recently I said online, and I really, really believe this. This is not salacious. I'm not trying to get clicks or anything. I truly believe that all medical transition for adults and for children needs to be halted immediately until we have psychological testing in place, so that we can weed out the people that shouldn't be medically transitioning. We can weed out the people that are medically transitioning because of homophobia. We can weed out the people that have autogynephilia, which is a dangerous sexual fetish that men have. We can weed out the narcissists and the ones with personality disorders that are the dangerous ones. Until we're able to weed those out, and until we're able to tell people and have people understand that medical transition is no different than getting a boob job or a facelift. God forbid, I hope someday we get to the place where we just love our bodies the way that they are.
Right.
But we haven't gotten there. I don't think it'll ever happen. It's cosmetic surgery. It's not a higher level of conscious. It's not mystical unicorn farts and glitter bombs. It's cosmetic surgery. It comes at a huge, huge, huge cost, and it doesn't fix mental health. It makes it worse.
When I was researching how, what questions to ask and your history and the questions that had not been asked already from any of the prior shows that you had been on, I went ahead, and anybody can do this. You can Google and say, hey, what was the youngest age of somebody that had made that transition? Now, the one that I pulled up turned out it was a young boy in Germany who was 12. I'm sure that's probably not accurate anymore, but just the fact that some of that information may in fact be biased. But that got me thinking, like, you're sitting across from a doctor now, right? What do you think the doctors who offer gender affirming care, do you think that doctors who offer gender affirming care are in violation of the do no harm clause?
100%.
Yeah, it's kind of
100%. Until we get those psychological testing that, being run. And I say it this way: if you're a plastic surgeon, and hormones are plastic surgery in a syringe, it changes the core of who you are. It changes your skin, it changes the bone structure on your face, it changes your voice, especially testosterone to women. It changes stuff. It's cosmetic. If there was a woman that was to go in for cosmetic surgery, and let's say she's a 55-year-old woman, and she goes in and she says, Doc, I've got these wrinkles on my face, and I know I'm not supposed to have these wrinkles on my face. I'm meant to not have wrinkles, and I have a size A boobs, but I'm supposed to have a double D. This is who I am, and this is not who I am. I was born in the wrong body. I'm not supposed to have these wrinkles, and if you don't do this surgeries, I'm going to kill myself. There's no plastic surgery in the world that would say, come on in. That's what we're doing right now.
They would immediately assume that there's some level of mental health intervention that needs to happen prior to the surgery.
Absolutely. And until somebody comes in and says, hey, listen, I'm medically transitioning. I know that I am a woman. I feel more comfortable, masculine. I feel more comfortable presenting that way. It makes me feel comfortable. I've done all of these psychological testing. I've thought about it for 2 years. This is something that I want to do that I know is not going to, make my life wonderful, but it might make me walk through life a little bit easier. Okay, come on in.
Interesting. You started a group called TReVoices. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Did I pronounce that right? TReVoices. What is that, and tell us about it.
Well, I haven't done much with it lately. I started back to work about 8 months ago, so there's not much that I'm doing with it right now. I was trying to pull some people together, like transgender people that live in reality. And the truth is that most of transgender people actually feel somewhat like I do. It's the crazy ones that you have on social media. So I was trying to pull those people together. I'm not doing much anymore. Before, after What is a Woman, I wasn't able to work because I just got outed everywhere. Now I just go on podcast and do writings when I feel the need to do so. So I'm not really doing much with that anymore. But I was doing it before with bills and stuff. That just ran me ragged.
Got it.
I have a question from a viewer. Yeah, just pause between questions, Leeroy, so we can get some. We have a ton of questions from people in the audience. My 27-year-old daughter is transitioning now. I'm scared because she has a history of suicidal ideation and not fitting in. I fear she will change her mind when it's too late. So what can be reversed? What cannot be reversed? This is from Kim, and she says she's extremely frightened.
Hi, Kim. I get this question a lot, so I'm going to tell you the truth because I don't want to be told the truth about my daughter. Testosterone is an added hormone. I think of testosterone. Think of a piece of chicken and a piece of chicken. Chicken breast. One you marinate, right? One you put salt and pepper on. You stick them in the refrigerator for a day. You pull it out. You can't pull that marinated sauce out of it, right? It's marinated in the chicken. You can wipe the salt off of the chicken on this side. So think of the salt as estrogen and the marinade as testosterone. So testosterone adds, it's a marinated hormone. And what I mean by that is within a short period of time, your daughter's voice will start to get lower. Those vocal cords will get scratched. That'll never go back. Her bone structure on her face will start to appear like a man. That will never go back. Her skin pores will start to open. And so that will look like a man. The hair on her face will start to grow. So after 24 months, what usually happens is that person will look like some kind of male version for the rest of their life. So if your daughter gets off of testosterone after 24 months and decides that she wants to detransition, the truth is that she will always look like a transgender woman from that point on. She will sound like a transgender woman. She will look like a transgender woman. You can detransition usually pretty easily after about 12 months. But after 24 months on an adult woman, you're going to look like a man for the rest of your life. So that's a really scary place to be. And what I tell parents is that your child is your child. And if your child medically transitions, you have to be there for her. Because when that 7 years comes, when she finishes the medical transition, the only long-term study that tells us that suicidal ideation peaks, she's going to need you there. It doesn't mean that you have to agree with her. It just have to, I love you to death. I don't understand this. I don't like this. This is hard for me. But be there. Because when that happens, if she doesn't have you, and on top of it's 24 months, and she knows that she's going to look like a trans woman or look like a man for the rest of her life, she's going to need mommy. And there ain't no religion or no friends or anything that should take you away from your child.
What
Leeroy,
are the complication rates from these
What's that?
surgeries? Something that question came from Carrie, I think, right? So what can Carrie say?
I got the questions. So
okay,
just hold on a second. So I'll take care of those so you can take care of yours. I think he answered Carrie's fairly well. One of the questions that I have is you keep saying cosmetic, and I think there's a lot you process like I do, and you just spit facts out. But I want to make sure that I understand you. You're not saying that taking any type of hormone replacement therapy in any way, shape, or form, or any hormones that are in excess and opposite of what your gender is and what's required are cosmetic, right? Because I've heard that a couple times, because I just emphatically disagree with you that these are cosmetic, if that's what you're saying. And if you could explain that to me, I'd really appreciate it.
Well, I mean by cosmetic now, taking HRT in any circumstance, right? If you have a female body, now the female body is driven with estrogen, right?
Right.
For you to get the benefits or for you to get the cosmetic side of hormone, you have to take an enormous amount of testosterone to counteract the estrogen to become a testosterone driven body.
Correct.
When you pull this down and testosterone becomes your prominent hormone, your body will change.
Sure.
And what I mean by cosmetic is that it's something that would not have happened if you didn't take enormous amounts of testosterone. If I didn't take enormous amounts of testosterone, I wouldn't have gotten facial hair. My bone structure on my face wouldn't have changed. The fat structure wouldn't have changed in my body. My skin structure wouldn't have changed. My voice wouldn't have changed. Now, it's not real. It's an illusion of a male. And so that's why I call it cosmetic.
Okay, because cosmetic gives the subtle nuance to it is that it's removable. And of course, cosmetic surgery is plastic surgery or boobs. Those aren't removable. But that's
Nope, they're not.
taking a materialistic item and inserting and changing the body, whether it be rhinoplasty or some sort of breast enhancement or augmentation. But this is a chemical change, right? So we're talking bone density changes. We're talking vascular changes in your body. Enlarging of the heart takes place. I mean, I've been on TRT for 7 years, not because I'm transitioning, but because I took a lot of hydrocodone and others after my surgery in the military, and about 20 years of that literally changed the chemical makeup of my body, and I could no longer produce testosterone at a level that was acceptable for a person my age. So I understand the benefits of it, and I also understand the detriment of it. My wife, if she even touches that stuff, can have an effect. So I hear what you're saying completely. So I want to just make sure that viewers understood, because they were asking, and I'm like, I completely get what you're saying. Cosmetic, a boob surgery is a physical change to the body. It's not chemical. But yes, it's cosmetic on the outward, but there are absolutely physical changes and mental changes and anatomical structure changes to the body, 100%, that you can't change and never can change. You can have a breast augmentation removed. You cannot take the testosterone changes out of your body. It's just not the way it's going to work. So I'm with you. Thanks.
When I was on What is a Woman, I hadn't been on testosterone for years.
We're not going to talk about that show anymore. We learned our lesson. We're not even talking about that show.
You know what? That's the thing is testosterone is permanent. So another pet peeve of mine. I mean, I'm totally okay with people detransitioning. Love it. You do you, whatever makes you feel happy. But what I don't like is taking somebody that was on testosterone for a year, that was 16 years old, got off of it, and then their puberty kind of came through, and all of a sudden they look like this, budding young woman.
Yeah.
That testosterone maybe changed their voice a little bit. Detransition at the right time, absolutely. But if you've been on testosterone for 24 months and you think you're going to detransition, you are in another fantasy world that social media is pushing you in. That's a very, very big pet peeve of mine.
Awesome. Leeroy, go ahead, buddy, and then I'll follow up with a question from Mel.
Yeah, no, you're good. What are the complication rates from the surgeries, from these? Yeah, I think we said that there were 48,000 transgender surgeries. What are the complication rates that parents can warn their kids about? Like, if you do this, you are likely going to have X number of issues.
The big one are the bottom surgeries. So I know about the phalloplasty. The phalloplasty has a 67% complication rate. That complication rate comes with infections, recurring infections. You go on my website, you'll see a trans man that just died from a phalloplasty infections. It's real. I mean, so you get these reoccurring infections because you take the urethra that is shorter and you try to make it longer. And when you do that, you open it up to infections. It's archaic. It is grotesque. It is horrible. I know of one transgender man that actually had where part of his skin started to die. He was in the hospital for a month. He had leeches on his private parts to try to save his private parts. Didn't save it. You have these, devices that they put in to have sexual intercourse that over time they peel over and this thing breaks through. It's absolutely incredibly painful. You have, well, let's take boys that have been on puberty blockers that grow up to have those surgeries where they invert the penis. Those boys sometimes will never experience an orgasm for the rest of their life. Never. So just imagine being a male, never having an orgasm for the rest of your life with those surgeries. The surgeries are.
I'm married. I get it. Sorry. Occasionally we have to have a sense of humor and lighten the mood. I apologize. I cracked a joke. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. Yeah. So it is, they're incredibly experimental procedures. And one of the things that I just don't understand why people don't get this, but WPATH, which is the Worldwide Association for Transgender Health, it's supposed to be the baseline for transgender health, right? It is just basically an organization that takes donations and has some doctors on there. And they come out with these baselines, but those baselines have never held up in any court of law anywhere in the world. And what that means is there are no baselines. All of medical transition is cosmetic. All of it, except for top surgery.
Mel Lowe asked a question, says, Scott, how confident are you that the psychology community, whatever, today will actually give a patient an honest assessment knowing the psychologists are already tainted? And here's just an expanded question on that already, is when it comes to these surgeries, does it have to be a clinical psychologist or a psychiatrist? Because there's a very big difference between the two, and you would know better than anybody. So which one would it be?
It could just be a therapist. I mean, it could
really
be below that. Yeah,
no
there's
way.
no, but you have to understand, you have to understand why. And when you understand why, you kind of go, I get it. And, you have to follow it to 2015. Well, what happened in 2015?
I'm sorry. 2015, US,
15.
Gay marriage was codified in the United States.
Bingo.
Well, there's more. Oh, I got it in the first try. Okay.
You got it. Cool. So gay marriage was, you had normal, I call them normal gay and lesbian people that, just wanted to have the same like tax rights. They didn't want to be taken out of, if they've been with somebody for 40 years, they don't want to be taken out of the hospital bed when they're dying because their, religious parents show up out of nowhere.
Right.
They wanted to have those same kind of benefits, right? That's what we were fighting for. And in 2015, we took it too far with gay marriage. I mean, I don't think we should have taken that far, but we wanted those rights. So we got those rights. Well, when you win in activism, we can see that happening right now in the conservative circles. Conservatives have won, and what's happening? You guys are eating each other up because everybody wants attention, right? And the donations. But in 2015, we won. So all of the normal gays and lesbians, we went home and said, hey, let's grab something to eat. We're done. And you can take this all the way up to like Stonewall in the UK. Stonewall is the LGBTQ in the UK. In 2015, they filed bankruptcy. In 2016, they had a 32% year-over-year growth. Do you know what they did? They signed on with Mermaids. Mermaids was the organization that started the gender affirming, the medically transitioning children. In 1 year, an organization went from bankruptcy to 32% year-over-year growth. Now then, we had all these things like the Trevor organization here in the United States. They went from, getting about $1 million a year in donations to over $100 million in donations in like a 2-year period of time when they started teaching about gender medicine. So then you've got all this money that's coming in, and they're paying all of these psychological organizations. They're paying, politicians like Abbott, who's a conservative. They're paying people all over the place for this to be taken in from the ground up. Mm-hmm. Then you have over here on this side, you've got things like Turning Point, not saying anything bad or good about any organization, just facts. Then you've got Turning Point that was taking about $1 million about 4 years ago. What did they start talking about? Transgender issues. Well, they shot up to 100 million. They're almost to 200 million this year. So you've got both of these organizations that are making a whole bunch of money on gender affirming care. Well, when this gets fixed, they'll find something else. What society needs to do is to be able to separate that stuff and stop putting these people on pedestals and look at each of the issues at hand, regardless of if you are right or left or Democrat or Republican. Medically transitioning children is butchery. We're butchering a generation of children because people can't act like adults. They can't have a conversation where they sit in a room. I could sit in a room with a conservative evangelical that can say, hey, I think homosexuality is wrong. And I'll say, I don't agree with you. And then we talk about it. And then we'll go, okay, we're not going to talk about that again because we don't get along on that. Let's talk about something else. Let's go out to lunch. Let's figure this out. Let's act like people. There's no benefit in that. There's no clicks in that. There's no, I mean, look at what Candace Owens is doing right now. Charlie Kirk died.
Yeah. We were talking about
And
that the other day on the show because because he and her had such a relationship that it just seems like post Charlie Kirk's death, that is all she is talking about. And it's just to keep that
Jews.
kind of, yeah. And it's just to
Well,
keep
how
that
did she
snowball
start out?
rolling.
She started out with, White Lives Matter, being a black person. That was, oh my God. And you just got to ratchet up. It was just, and then it was Ben Shapiro, then it was Jews, and then now it's Charlie Kirk. I mean, she's going to straitjacket herself out of it. I hope so.
Well, and it was also France.
I don't understand how people can't see that. I mean, I've dealt with her. I told her about Abbott. She didn't say anything about it. She doesn't care.
Well, I'm going to say something about it because I care. So which group went ahead and gave Abbott millions of dollars and which group gave TPUSA? Because here's the thing I do know. I may not know a lot about this, but I do understand TPUSA's financials because I've went through them and I've donated to them for the last 5 years. And as a person who donates and worked with over 3,000 501c3s, I take it my personal mission to understand where people get their money from. So I'm not seeing it. So can you tell me which group it was so I can research this? Because I'll no longer donate to TPUSA.
I'm not saying anything about Turning Point USA. I think Turning Point USA. I think Charlie Kirk. I think he was one of the genuine ones. But you start to make that kind of money that he makes, $50,000. I mean, it does kind of change people. But he just got donations from people that want the gender stuff to stop. So that's what they focused on. There's no evil in that. I mean, they were an organization. No, now, as far as Abbott took from a queer gender clinic that started in Dallas and moved to Austin, and they siphoned that money through University of Texas Health. Over $3 million. He took 400,000 when a bill came out. I mean, that you can go and research that, and I gave all the research.
I will.
To Candace Owens.
Yeah. Why don't you send it to me?
Well, now it's actually out. They're starting to talk about it like schools are starting to out Abbott. But the thing is that he's a conservative. People do not want to talk about people on their own team until we get the place where it's like, I don't care if you're right or left. If you have a wolf in your den, kick them out. If you cannot take the clicks or take the unfriending for a little bit to do the right thing, then you are not a leader. You're an entertainer.
Are you familiar with the name of our show?
Yeah, I like that.
Right. Okay. So we've been doing that for 5 years, and that's why we don't have 10,000 people on right now, is because we called out J6 as bullshit. We called out the stolen election as bullshit. We called out that COVID was all. We've been doing this shit for years, and we're Republicans, we're conservatives, but first of all, we're patriots and we're Americans, and we're also two people who can put two sentences together. So I'm with you, man. I understand exactly what you're saying. Listen, I've met Governor Abbott on multiple occasions. I've lobbied with Compact and other political action committees in Austin. I know exactly what you're talking about. I would like to look at that, and I would like to report on it because I think it's important. But as far as TPUSA, thank you for clarifying, because that's an organization that we've done a lot of fundraising for, and I was a big fan of Charlie. And if they were taking money that I'm not aware of, I needed to know. So thanks for clarifying that. Leeroy,
no,
go
they
ahead.
just are making a lot of money for jumping on the trans thing. Absolutely. I mean, you got to do what you got to do. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but once again, but they're advocating for your points, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So
it seems like they were in agreement with you, Scott. So
right, they've been. I mean, I know that. Listen, it's easy to say, like, there's things that we talk about. People are like, you're doing that for money. Well, first of all, of course. I mean, this isn't for me just to go ahead and spend 80 hours a week and not make a living off of it. But my sole focus is never money, right? My sole focus is to get people the truth so they want to go ahead and come here, and then obviously engage and spend money on product and donate and help out. I mean, that's the American way. Capitalism isn't evil. But you're right.
No.
There are
Not
people out there making money off of this and taking money from these clinics and these psychologists and the schools. I'm with you, man. They are, and listen to this. Turning Point would go to these schools, and if you think that didn't increase overall tuition, it didn't create attendance. They're helping these college campuses inadvertently. So I understand what you're saying. Yeah. I get it. I just don't think that was their sole focus. You know what I mean?
It's like there's two layers to capitalism, and one of them is done on a handshake deal that it is in a exchange where both people benefit. But there is a layer of capitalism that does take advantage of some people. Unfortunately, Scott, I think that's what we're saying you fell into, is that the entire trans community, I think you had mentioned in the Matt Walsh interview, that each surgery is $70,000. And at the end of the day, this is one of the reasons I was asking, like, do you feel like doctors are in violation of do no harm? Well, yeah, because they're obviously trying to cash in on a paycheck because of a social trend. And that's what we're trying to make sure is exposed.
Yeah,
absolutely. I'm for organizations, that like Turning Point, get all the donations you want. What I have a problem with is people like Abbott that are taking from queer gender clinics and then saying that they're the ones that stop the medicalization. Now that is evil.
Sorry, send that to me. We have a big audience in Texas, and I've got a very big mouth friend who has no problem exposing Texas.
The guy that had the son that was medically transitioned. What is his name? Jeff. Anyways, it's pretty well known now. It's coming out. I've said it about 5 years ago, but finally people are starting. You can find it on the internet now.
Okay. Well,
but again, people don't want to talk about it.
Well, I want to talk about it, and Damani Felder will want to talk about it, and he's got 675,000 followers in Texas, and I'm a Texas boy. We'll get the word out. And listen, Abbott has done a lot of things that we don't agree with, and if this is another thing he's done, it needs to be exposed. So I'm with you. Send it to me, please. Leeroy, go ahead. You got questions.
Yeah. Looking back on it, Scott, what have you learned about yourself after the surgery?
I'm more vulnerable than what I thought to outside words.
That's fair. I think a lot of people do tend to. Everyone likes to feel comfortable, right? But when you have your entire world kind of shaken, it doesn't take much, I'm going to ask these questions, although I already know the answers. It's just that when I ask them, it's because I'm looking for definitive black and white, answers here. Do you regret transitioning?
Oh, God, yes.
And do you feel, I'm just going to ask straight up, can a man become a woman or vice versa?
No, it's an illusion. No, it's an illusion.
I can't thank you enough for some of these questions. Actually, I've gotten to the bottom of my questions, Matt.
Oh God, I'm not. Yeah, we get. I mean, I think we've scratched the surface. I mean, honestly, I would rather have seen this from Matt Walsh. I would have rather have seen this from some of the other interviews you did, because it's an honest account, and there's accountability in the conversation, right? If something,
I think the other ones were honest too, but it definitely seems like,
doesn't sound like it.
When something is live, well, I'll tell you what the difference is. When something is live and unedited, right? You can see the emotion in his voice when he was doing the Matt Walsh interview. But here's the thing. Somebody who's making a movie, they can edit that to however the hell they want.
Right. Michael Moore. Michael Moore could be a conservative tux-wearing James Bond with the right editing. I mean, Dan Silva said that best. He's like, I can make Michael Moore look like the most staunch conservative in the world just by editing his clips. Scott, here's the $1 million question tonight with the last name. When I saw it, I notice stupid shit like this, and let's see if I'm right, because I don't think anyone's asked you this question, and I hope I'm the only one. Newgent is, you're a new gentleman, right? Is that what it's from? Is that how you came up with it?
It's not the first time. No, and you know what?
Damn it.
No, it's a family name. It's a family name.
So who else asked you that? I just want to see what wavelength I'm off.
I've gotten it online, and you know what? The funny thing about it, I got it online probably 7 years ago, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" And I went, "Oh God, I didn't even." No, it's a family name.
Okay, that makes sense. So
I didn't even pick up on that, Matt.
Yeah,
I know.
It's
I didn't either.
listen, when you're in Photoshop and you're building a you see things, right? So
Yeah,
that's just the way my mind works. But I was
No,
like,
it's
oh,
my-
I said,
my mom's name.
I know, but as a pen name, it's fantastic, Newgent, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is totally set. Here's the thing that I would. Yeah, this is a tough one. So this is a tough question. And I'm going to have you go back to before you transition, if it's okay, and ask you a question about people like Dylan Mulvaney, who want to, I saw the whites of the eyes there, that want to have some sort of caricature of what a woman is, and believes that, like, in my opinion, the things that he's doing is his critique on what women in his eyes should be. And I think that is probably one of the most sexist, from a guy who believes that my wife cooking pot pie is a great thing in the kitchen. That's one of the most sexist things I ever heard. Because Dylan Mulvaney's critique of women is that they are dumb as dog shit. They are fluttery butterflies without a thought in their head, and have to act like a 13-year-old prepubescent girl. When you see someone who would be considered a man who is pretending to be a woman without the commitment, without the transition, without all of those cosmetic and hormonal changes that you're talking about, does it piss you off? Does it make you laugh? What's your reaction? Or do you not care?
Dylan Mulvaney is that's a business model. He found a business model, and it works. So it's worked for several years. It's made the guy a lot of money. It's made the guy famous. I don't really know what else to say to that. He's a funny guy. He's upbeat. But I think he's making a mockery out of women in general. But you touched on something that I don't think a lot of people understand.
Okay.
Men in general, 86% of men that medically transition have some form of autogynephilia.
you had
Do you
mentioned
know
that
what that
before. What is that?
Autogynephilia is a sexual fetish. It's a cross-gender fetish. The biggest kind of visual idea of what autogynephilia is do you remember in that one movie, Silence of the Lambs, where the guys,
Yeah.
So
Buffalo
puts
Bill.
lotion on its skin.
Right.
Or it gets the hose again.
Right.
Yeah, just the dress up. That's autogynephilia on steroids, right? So autogynephilia is men who are aroused by the idea of being seen as a female sexual object. So it's very misogynistic. It's the guys that like to dress up. For all the girls online, by the way, that their guys like to dress up in heels and wear makeup and all that kind of stuff. That's autogynephilia. Autogynephilia is basically taking a sexual woman as a sexual object and making her a hyper sexual object, and that's what turns her on. So these guys that have autogynephilia, and 86% of them have some sort of autogynephilia, 30% have full-blown autogynephilia. And then when you take men that medically transition, 81% of those men have personality disorders. Now, men have harsher personality, have harsher mental illnesses, right? Women have depression and anxiety. Men have personality disorders, sociopath, criminal psychopathy, much more than women do. So when a man is severely mentally ill, schizophrenic, it's a dangerous mental illness, right? So 81% of these guys that are medically transitioning have personality disorders, have some kind of psychopathy. On top of 86% have some kind of autogynephilia. 81% or 36% have full-blown autogynephilia. So those are the men that you see get really, 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 really angry when you misgender them. And what I want you to visualize is if you're in a store, and this guy's all dressed up, he put on his makeup and all this kind of stuff, he has got a boner that is bigger than life walking around in his heels. He's thinking that he passes. Everybody sees him as this sexual. Everybody wants to use him as this sexual object. He is just a female, just kind of, that's all he is. He's like a blow up doll for sex, right? When he goes into the store and you call him, it's ma'am. That's why they get so upset, because that's autogynephilia. Those are very, very dangerous people. Those are also the people that are like the shooters and the ones that, attack people. Now, keep in mind, when you take these people that have those personality disorders, then I want you to take on top of it that you have a man that has his balls and penis producing testosterone, right? Who's not just taking the same amount of estrogen that a woman takes, because you cannot become an estrogen-driven body by taking just average amounts of estrogen. To overcome that testosterone, what do you have to do? You have to take more estrogen, right? So you got these men that have personality disorders, have autogynephilia, are medically transitioning, and then they're taking 3 times the dose of estrogen that a regular man takes while he's still producing testosterone. It's the reason why people laugh when I say I'm at a rally and I see a trans woman get upset. I am out of there. I don't mess around. I see a trans woman that gives a little like pissed off. I'm gone.
Right.
I'm running like Tom Cruise.
Right.
Because they're dangerous.
Damn.
Scott, trans in the military, yes or no?
Right now, no.
Why?
There's no stipulations for it, right? And we don't understand what my strength is compared to a man. It hasn't been studied, right? I do know that I'm stronger than what I was before I started medically transitioning. I do know that my muscles are a little bit bigger. I also know when I go to the gym, I'm reminded that you're not as strong as a man. And so we don't know where that is. We're creating hybrid human beings. And until we have hybrid human being in the military, until we have those parameters around that, the first thing that should be at the forefront of every bill, every law that's being passed right now is to protect women and to protect children first. And people who make a decision to medically transition should be last. Until women and children are safe, then we can talk about the rights that we have. But until then, that's all that matters. Women and children, women and children, women and children, women and children.
It's interesting, when you first were speaking, I heard you say that you were a lesbian. Do you still think that, or do you consider yourself to be a transgender male?
I don't get caught up on all that kind of stuff. I don't know what the hell I'm a hybrid.
See,
the thing is that I look in the mirror and I see a man. I know that on the interior I'm a woman. I'll never look like a woman again. As far as being a lesbian or not, I think we're so caught up on that. Let me tell you something.
Right.
I'm 53 years old. I mean, if I was in a relationship and I had a partner that said, hey, do you want to have sex or have a pizza? I'd be like, let's have a pizza. I'm so over that. I don't care about that kind of stuff. I'm just a human being is what I am. Am I attracted to women? Yes. What does that mean? I don't know. I don't care. It's not the forefront of my life. My kids are the forefront of my life.
Yeah.
Trying to make my life better is on the forefront of my life. Who I'm attracted to or not attracted to is nobody's business, and nor does anybody care. Nobody really cares, do they?
I think kids do, because I think you have a story to tell, and that was the reason I asked the question, is because I think kids are looking for answers, and I think, in my opinion, the LGBT movement, which started in Boulder, Colorado in the 70s, has been hijacked by perversion, and you're gonna have to explain that, because I think you the work that you're doing I don't think you've reached it, and I don't think you've eclipsed what you're supposed to be doing. I think you're starting on that path now. That's why you're here. At 53, you've made that very clear. So my question wasn't to pigeonhole you into a box. It was to say, how are you going to relate to children? Is it going to be from their confusion about being attracted to the opposite sex, which is completely normal? It happens to every single human being. Every single person either has nocturnal missions or have some sort of homoerotic tendencies at a very young age. Freud said this. Other psychologists have said this. And I know because it happened to me, and it's happened to everyone I've talked to. And that means everybody. And my question is how do you reach those kids? Do you do it as a trans male, or do you do it like you came on the show and said, listen, I'll never be a man. This is where I'm comfortable. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah. I call myself a transgender man because I'm trying to decipher between medical transition being permanent and not being permanent. I am a woman. I am a lesbian. I medically transitioned. It's a verb. It's done. So for me, I will never be not transgender. Okay. But when we're talking about sexuality in general, I believe that we need to have more of an open conversation without people getting hurt. And what I mean by that is this. I do believe there are people that are born with homosexual tendencies, which means that they are attracted to the same sex. And for them to be happy, they need to be in a romantic relationship with the same sex. Now, what that doesn't mean is that you need to, not respect your body, not respect your boundaries. You need to look for a partner in life. You need to be a decent person. You need to try to help people. Doesn't mean that you get to go clubbing and all that kind of stuff. It means that you're homosexual. Now, I also believe that there are straight people that have trauma. For example, I dated a woman that was raped by 5 men and refused to be with a man again. Now, that's not a homosexual woman. That's not a lesbian. That's a woman who had trauma. That person should go to therapy so that they can be authentically themselves. Now, you cannot say that one exists and not the other. On the other side, you have people that are very, very religious, and I've known this, that do not want to be homosexual. And they should be able to go to their religion of choice and learn how to live a straight life or not go down that road or be around people that help them not do that. They should be able to do that as well. So there's not one correlation. There's not one box that needs to be checked. Human beings are sexual, and we need to judge each human being separately and without a group, with dignity and respect on all levels.
So you're not someone who consumes the "I was born this way" as 100%. So do you think it's a mixture of both, that people choose and can have a predisposition? Yes. Yeah, I agree, because I've spoken to just a little out. I am an absolute accepted graduated homosexual who's never partaken in the process. But I worked at Apple, so that should tell you. I mean, literally everybody I hired was pretty much gay, and that's okay. And some of my best friends I have are just lifelong friends who I love and adore. The conversations that we would have would always lead to this. This is why I did this show. And everyone to a person would say, listen, I think that I always had an inclination, at least when I got to that age of playing doctor, that I probably was not attracted, or I had a dream, or somebody slept over and something happened. But it was also a choice for me at the same time, too, because there were times that when I would go and I would mess around with opposite sex, and I was like, ugh, I don't like that. But then in college, maybe I did experiment. I'm like, okay, maybe. And there was just confusion. Like, kids kind of don't know exactly where they're at.
Trying to find your way.
Yeah. So I love that. I love that you say that, Scott. You're a very genuine human being. You have a very open mind, and it wasn't just before the interview learning this about you, but you're also extremely passionate about this. Do you think there's a time and a place where you're going to be able to settle the emotions? I know we have triggers. I do. When people harm vets or degrade veterans, I'm not a big fan of that. When they go after women verbally, I'm not a big fan of that. There's things that will get me to show you I'm a guy pretty quick. Do you think there's a place where you can get to? What do you want where you can get to a place to say, okay, this happened to me, I'm okay with it, because I've done A, B, and C. Do you know what that looks like yet?
I'm doing it is what I'm doing. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm absolutely doing it. I'm coming out of it. And I'm coming out of it stronger. I didn't realize before I medically transitioned. I do have a gift of communication, helping people understand things. And
Yeah, you do.
This is a topic that a lot of people don't understand. And I've got a view that most people don't. And I
Yes.
have a gift of being able to explain it. So I'm trying to figure out where that goes. There's a lot of healing that needs to go on with the idea. And I'm starting to come to grips with the fact that, yeah, I was used all the way around, but here I am still.
Right.
And I can think I could be negative or I can be positive. And here's the positive. I do know without a doubt I can change hearts and minds. I do know that if you put me on a college tour, I could relatively round up some people that could change hearts and minds and save children. And I know that. And that is not a detriment. That's a gift. And I'm coming to terms with that a little bit at a time. So yes, I'm moving towards that. I'm moving towards that. But I would be crazy to say that I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. And is anybody really? I mean, passion's kind of a good thing, right? I mean, passion's a good thing.
Well, it's kind of like when a group looks to somebody and says, listen to this person, they're amazing. And all of a sudden you get all of the spotlight on you and you get a lot of praise in a manner of speaking. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute. All of this attention is now pointed at me. I'm just a guy trying to speak my voice. I'm just a person trying to speak my truth. And that's what you seem to do so well. I don't think that there's enough applause that could be had for somebody who is as honest, as forthright as you are about this. And for really, when you think about the ultimate goal, which is just to save children's lives. We talked about it earlier, 48,000 transgender surgeries. God knows how many of those are going to be successful or unsuccessful, or how many complications are going to come from that. You said it was what, 67%?
Complication
So
rate on the family question, yeah.
yeah, that multiply that times 48,000 surgeries, and now we get a little bit of an accurate picture of what the future holds for psychologists and physicians in that field. And that's terrifying. Not to say nothing of the kids.
No, you know, childhood is it's a very interesting time, right? It's the shortest part of our life.
Yeah.
But it follows us around for the rest of our lives. And what I mean by that is every decision that you make that's emotional, that's a life-changing emotion. Those core abilities to decipher what's right or wrong and how to handle life, it all comes from childhood. The weight of our parents is something that we can either wear as a weight around our neck, or it can lift us up to the heavens. And medical transition is something that is a weight around people's neck, and it's not going to fare well for these children, because not only are they being used as children in adolescence, I see a lot of these kids also being used with the detransgender stuff being lifted. Like, you can detransition, and they're being thrown under the bus again.
Oh,
And these poor kids are
don't
just
even think
kids
about that.
don't belong. They just don't belong. And what you're telling them is that you don't belong, and let's make you belong. Instead of saying, you know what, you don't belong. Well, that's wonderful. Because let me ask you a question. Have you ever seen a 22-year-old CEO that ever fit in? Let's talk about Charlie Kirk. Do you think he was normal growing up? He probably didn't fit in.
Yeah.
And could you imagine? I mean, there was probably a point at one point in Charlie, when he was growing up in adolescence, he could have been taken into the transgender cult because he didn't belong.
You know, that does make you wonder, could this type of movement have happened in the early 90s prior to the invention of these damn things?
No.
It makes you wonder if the amount of screen time that some teenagers and younger are getting, right? If that messaging is just being piped into their unformed brains, and solidifying an opinion that probably it may not have come up ever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just all these kids that don't belong, and you just got to go, just hold tight, because not fitting in really sucks in adolescence, but you're going to run the world when you're 22, 29. You got to hold tight.
Yeah. It's a good point.
Scott, I know we weren't going to talk about kids, and we're not going to. There's been several questions, everybody. We're not talking about kids. Are you married?
I am not.
Do you want to be?
No,
Why not?
I don't. No, I have
You-
no desire to be in a relationship ever.
I'm just. Is it okay? Can you answer why not? Or is that should we not go there?
I don't trust myself with love, quite frankly. I just don't.
Got it. Okay. So what? It's okay. So when you say the words, I don't trust myself, I think that is a very heavy burden to place upon yourself. And it sounds like it's self-appointed, or someone else threw that at you. It sounds like my mom,
Right.
and Leeroy's mom, to be honest. Where does that come from? And second, if you are incapable of loving another person, then it is also true that you're pretty much incapable of loving yourself. And even though it's cliche, it's fairly true, I would assume. How do you feel about that?
Well, that's pretty heavy, yourself. But I won't open myself up to a relationship until I feel I've healed, and I haven't yet. And I don't know if that'll ever happen. It could, but quite frankly, it doesn't. You could have come to me in my 20s, and I would have desperately wanted to be in a relationship. I absolutely have no desire to be in any kind of relationship. I've got a fulfilling life. I won't talk about my children, but I'll say that all my children are thriving. And that is my focus. And I'm absolutely blessed with that. I've got a lot of things going on. If there comes to a point where I feel like, I've healed enough and I'll open myself up, I might, but it's just not right now.
Follow up. Do you think that you were striving for social acceptance when this took place? When you transitioned?
When I medically transitioned?
Yeah, when you medically transitioned. Do you understand what you've done? Do you understand how profound what you just said was, that you have graduated from seeking the acceptance of other people through your actions to your actions are no longer dignified or necessary to be qualitative with any other human being? Do you understand how freeing that is?
Yep. Yeah, there is a sense of freedom with that. There is. It's quite a journey, but again, you can look at it from a negative point of view, or look at it from, wow, I've got a perspective and a voice. Hopefully someday somebody will allow me to use that voice to really save and change this. We need a hero in this. And I don't know if I'm the person to do this, but we need somebody that leads this with one singular desire. And that is to educate and to save women and children, period, without any other things coming into it. And I hope we find that. If it's not me, I hope we find somebody that does that. But we need a hero. We really do.
Last question from go ahead, Leeroy, if you have one. You know what? Let me just wrap up mine and then I'm done.
More of a comment, but
yeah, absolutely. What do you think of pronouns?
What about them?
Well, when you hear, are you having trouble hearing me?
No. Oh,
okay,
pronouns.
Yeah, no. I just like. What do you? I mean, these are all topics that you hear that are a distraction from the true underlying cause of delusion and psychosis. But pronouns. I mean, do you think it's a big deal? Do you want people to call you a certain pronoun, or do you think that there's value in that, or do you think it's all a bunch of nonsense?
What somebody uses in pronouns with me is none of my business. I chose to medically transition, so people can call me whatever they feel comfortable with. But I will say this, since the beginning of time, and even to this day, pronouns are chosen for us with what we see and what we hear.
Mm-hmm.
Expecting somebody to go against that is like asking somebody to write the Bible that's right-handed in their left hand. I mean, you constantly have to be concentrating on it. It's not right. It's narcissistic. It's sociopathic. It's selfish. It's self-righteous. It also feeds the fetish kind of a thing with the autogynephilia. So what I say is this, is if you were somehow kidnapped and you didn't know it, and you were thrown into a basement, and you're in this dark basement, you can't hear anything, And all of a sudden you hear 3 footsteps coming down and you hear 3 men starting to talk and they're laughing. Your thoughts that go through your brain would be completely different than if coming down those stairs was 3 women laughing. So pronouns have been chosen for us for a reason. It's for survival. It is absolutely unequivocally narcissistic to make anybody call you pronouns. So people can call whatever they feel comfortable with. Now, out in public, anybody that uses female pronouns for me is making a statement. And you know what? I am okay with them making that statement. But if you are medically transitioning because of pronouns, you're doing it for the wrong
reasons. Yeah, perfect.
And I like to say things like Buck Angel, which, you know, Buck Angel is not an angel in itself. He's had, you know, like a little you know, he's a porn star and stuff like that, but he's a great guy that has gotten out of it, medically transitioned, knows he's a woman, and it has made his life better. Now, when I see him, I see a man, so I'm going to use male pronouns. Now, if I see Lily Contino or whatever she is, that girl or that guy that goes in the Disney bathroom, if I was to see him, I would use because he looks male. That's just how it is. Now, if I was in front of Blair White, I would use female pronouns because she looks and sounds like a woman to me. So, you know, I do what triggers in my brain.
I know Leeroy had a comment. I'm just going to make my, you know what? I'll do mine after yours. Leeroy, go for it, Bubba.
Back in while we were talking about this, and it just dawned on me that when we're talking about social norms or social pressures or conformity, things like this, that a lot of these experiments have already been run in not in the way of gender necessarily or sex, but more of social groups. And in the early 50s, there was an experiment called the Ash conformity experiment, where they would throw 3 lines up of differing lengths and ask people, and then they would have one other line and say, all right, which of those lines matches these 3 over here? The key to the experiment was that everyone in the group had already conspired ahead of time. The experiment was only being held on one person. It's just that as a group, they felt like they wanted to fit in. So
social
when the
conformity.
group when they all picked the incorrect line, the person, even though they saw that the line was either shorter, longer, that they had picked the wrong ones, they still went along with it due to social pressures.
Yep.
And it just got me thinking, it's like that times media plus gender.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
That was just my comment, my lame observation.
No, it's not a lame observation. Social conformity
No,
is not just exclusive to one group of people from transgender. It's to everybody. It's to jocks. It's to cheerleaders. It's to sluts. It's to nerds. It's to everybody. We all face it, and we all go along with the leader. I mean, and the greatest is Dead Poets Society, when he says everybody walk in their own way. Everyone walk in their own, you know, make it funny, make it serious, whatever. And then, you know, Hiawatha is leaning up against the pillar, and he's like, you're going to join us, sir? And he's like, the statement of me not joining is the statement I want to make, or whatever it would be. And he's like, thank you for proving the exercise correct. And that's where we're at. Scott, thank you for the donation. Everyone's starting to bring donations in. We appreciate it. Deborah, we hold on donations when we have a guest until the end, because we don't want to make them feel uncomfortable that we're raising off of them. So thanks, Scott. We all need to be educated. I missed the last part. We have a thing we do here. Get a final minute, and it's yours. You can take 10, you can take 20, you can take 5. It's up to you. I'll do mine. Leeroy, if you've already done yours, here's the thing. To be honest with you, if you were a man coming in as a woman, there's a lot of people who struggle with that, and they take a personal affront to it. Not just women, but men too. And it's like the adage that, well, a couple lesbians are okay, but 2 gay guys, oh, it's disgusting, right? It has this social acceptance that a woman can become a man. And I'll be honest with you, it bothers me. But if I could say this as a compliment, and I told Leeroy this, it absolutely, I am 100% against it. And the reason why is because I don't want anyone critiquing me who hasn't walked in my shoes. And I will tell you this, if being a man is about physicality, you check the box. If being a man is having perspective that other men have and it's rational, then you check the box. But more importantly is, in this conversation, I didn't give two shits. I just didn't care. Because you've lived that life. You've walked in our shoes. And I believe you understand it as well as you can. And to me, I wish more people would be like you and be humble with their approach and not use it as I'm a man and you have to accept me, versus this is who I am and I hope you accept me for just that. It impressed the hell out of me, Scott. So I wanted to say thank you, sincerely.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
You got something?
One of, we have been talking about this on the show for a very, very long time. And one of the people, other than yourself, that I had taken note of from the Matt Walsh special was a doctor named Deborah So. Deborah had made and I don't think she mentioned this in the movie, but I do a lot of research post.
She's great.
Because she's amazing. And so I tracked down a bunch of her articles. I read through a bunch of stuff. One of the things that she had noted was that beyond the obvious physical differences, right, that the difference in brain structure between men and women is different. It is wildly different. Women seem to have more connective tissue that runs, I think, front to back was in her example, whereas men seem to have more connective tissue going from left to right. So even our brain structures are different. So when someone says that they're in the wrong body, that would be one thing that I would give credit to. It wasn't to Matt. It was who's the Italian kid that's on that's in Ben Shapiro's cast? The guy with the cigar. Why can't I think of his name? The younger guy.
Michael Knowles.
Michael Knowles. That was one thing that he had made mention to was, how do you know? How do you know what it means to be a man or a woman? You don't have the correct brain, so how do you know? Right?
You know.
And so I guess, in watching all of those series, in really delving into the subject matter, which is profound for one, emotional too, and it really is. It's like a lightning rod these days, right? You can't talk about it with anybody with any sort of logical approach. No, it has to be, call me this or that because that's how I feel, because that's what I said. Because if you don't, you're the one outside the social norms. At least that's what they're trying to kind of change society into. So I cannot applaud your efforts enough. I do need to read something, and I wanted to make sure that this was done with you on the show. And this will be my replacement 1 minute, Matt. An estimated 48,000 transgender surgeries were performed in the United States between 2016 and 2020. Individuals who underwent gender-affirming surgery had a 12-fold higher suicide rate, according to the government's own records. And according to the Williams Institute, more than 40% of transgender adults in the U.S. had attempted suicide. Here on the Don't Unfriend Me show, we end every episode with either the Veterans Crisis Hotline or the National Suicide Hotline of 988. If you or anyone you know is struggling, don't let them or yourself struggle in silence. Please use these resources and remember that the world is a better place with you in it. That's all I have.
Scott,
I can't thank you enough for this amazing interview. This was awesome.
You get all the time you need, man. Like I said, it's a custom, and we've been doing it. We hope that you come back. We hope that anytime you want to share anything, whether it's a book or whether you have a tour or you just want to go and talk about a point, you're always welcome here. And if we don't do you right and we treat you like other people have, you have every right to call us back out. We always answer emails. We always follow up with our word. And I'm sorry you were treated that way by those bigger channels. That's why hopefully one day we get recognized, because we don't think that they deserve to be in their spot either. But go right ahead, sir.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on the show. On my website on scottnugent.org, there are some facts about medically transitioning children that kind of correlates with different complication rates. Those are great resources for parents. I kept that up there, so if you need to go on there, please go on there and take a look at that. I appreciate you having me on. I don't know how to end this other than right now in society, we're politically and activism lazy. And what I mean by that is we tag onto taglines for the right and we tag onto taglines for the left. And we've lost our brain in the middle. And all peace and harmony in society comes from the gray. And it's not that everybody agrees with the gray, but it's opening yourself up to see different sides of things. So until we do that, until we turn away from it's the right's fault, it's the left's fault, and we say, hey, you know what? What's the issue that we're talking about? Not whether it's a right issue or a left issue. What's the issue that we're talking about right now? Until the left can go, hey, let's take a look at the LGBTQ in the school systems from the fact that I'm a parent and I love my child. Not that I'm right or left. Until we can do that on both sides with issues, we're going to keep getting sicker and sicker and sicker. And we're going to keep getting sicker if we follow people like Candace Owens that is just wanting click after click after click after click. And as soon as this stops, she'll ramp it up and ramp it up until we get people that are able to take all the people and get unfriended by 5,000 people to make a point and gain 100,000 after, until we have brave people that talk about issues regardless of whatever the consequences is, until we get out of this lazy idea that the right is all wrong and the left is all right, or the left is all wrong and the right is all right. Until we understand that there's a middle in there, until we can go, hey, you know what? I might be the right, but I don't like what Trump did right there. And I'm going to talk about it because this is the issue. Right or left, this is the issue. I don't like this, but I'm over here. Till we can do this, our children, and I'll keep saying this, our children will get sicker and sicker and sicker and sicker. So until you understand that it's the right's fault, nope, that's your fault for saying that. It's the left fault. Nope, you're part of the problem.
Scott, I have to ask this question. My wife will absolutely kill me. Does pineapple belong on pizza?
Absolutely, absolutely, unequivocally no. And by the way, you probably want to tell her this.
Answer.
I'll tell you this, that I didn't know this. But upside pineapple, don't ever do that.
What?
When you're trying to get it, don't ever do that.
Yeah.
Do you guys know what that means?
No, but it sounds uncomfortable.
Upside pineapple means that you're like a swinger couple. I had a pineapple, I turned it upside down because I wanted it to get ripe. And my ex-mother-in-law came in and said, Kelly, what are you doing? She calls me Kelly still. I went, what are you talking about? She goes, who are you suing? And I went, what are you talking about? It's just a pineapple. I'm like, and then she told me what it was. I'm like, how do you know that at like 70 something years old? And I don't know that. So don't turn your pineapples upside down. Don't do that.
Hayden just screamed. What? Good answer. My son loves you. My wife is like, she's cursing your entire, she's very angry that you said pineapple shouldn't be on pizza. This is a long-standing joke.
Well, plainly, Olivia's wrong.
Of course, Olivia's sorry. He's like, holy shit, did I upset somebody? We're all joking. We do this with everybody. We've been asking this question for 5 years. I believe that pineapple on pizza is fascist, and it's horrible, and it should never. It's sacrilege. It's like fucking ketchup on steak. It's just there's things you just don't do. Maddie, or Scotty, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for everything, man. Please come back and then tell us how we did. And thank you. It was a wonderful conversation. We appreciate you.
All right. I appreciate it too. Thank you so much, guys.
All right, man.
Yeah. You take care of yourself. Thank you.
Bye. It's fun. Pineapple haters, they said. We're not pineapple haters. Lock it off.
It just doesn't belong on pizza.
It doesn't belong on pizza. Just stop. Just stop. Your thoughts on the interview. Folks, we've got 13 minutes. We have $10. The show costs about $140 to put on. We're okay not hitting it, but this deficit is not. Remember, we already missed one day. We already missed one day this week because of the power outage. So we're already down. If you plan on donating, the Avalanche start, and they're about to ready to go for an NHL record, and a team that's only lost once in regulation, and they're about to become the number 2 team to do it. And by the way, every single team who in the top 10 who have done this have won the Stanley Cup. So can you please help? Because we've got 13 minutes now, and we have $10.80 for an interview that I think was amazing. Leeroy, go ahead. You did a great job, by the way.
I would say that interview was beyond amazing. That was a level of emotion and rawness that hit home. That hit home in a lot of ways, not just because we're talking about, trans person, men and women, what it means to be a man, what it means to be. No, it was beyond that. It was about protecting kids. And that's a message that I think everybody can get behind. And if you feel like that you got something out of it, please like, share, and subscribe it. Please, you've got 12 minutes left. Please make a donation if at all possible. That was amazing. He's something.
That was probably just reflection. I think that is the way that I will continue to interview for the rest of my, I challenged him on some things, and I think that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But I will say, Amy Bordeaux, 2110, thank you, Amy. Thank you, everybody. In no way, shape, or form did I felt like I was talking to a woman until he got emotional about Walsh and Candace.
Yeah.
And that I was like, oh, there's the woman. There's a little bit of the woman coming out. But I don't like, I would carry a rifle next to Scott and I wouldn't be concerned.
No.
I feel very much that Scott has run the gauntlet of at least what it's from an external stimuli, knowing what it's like to be a man. From internally, that's impossible, but externally, there's enough there to have a really good understanding of what men face and go through.
Yeah.
And I was very impressed, like truly, with the conversation. Very smart, very intelligent. There's some things that I'm going to follow up on that I don't know what my thoughts are, but it was a very good guest. I want to say thank you for getting Scott on, because that was all you.
Yeah. No worries, man. This is one of those interviews I have been wanting to go after for a very, very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And it just so happened that, I don't know what makes me reach out to some people sometimes. I've reached out to everybody. I've reached out to James Woods. I've reached out to, it didn't matter to me. Like, I have no shame.
I'd love James Woods. oh my God. I talk about vampires all day long. The best vampire movie is Vampires. It is vampires. People are flipping out over.
He had this line in The Hard Way opposite Michael J. Fox where he's like, "Go tie your dick in a knot." And I was just like, "Oh my God." So James Woods, I love him. But this was one of those very emotional. I knew it was going to be a heavy topic, but the
you set me up with that video, dude. I was like, "Nice pick, Leeroy."
I didn't know that
I don't care.
Never.
You came on this show. You were asked what we couldn't talk about. That's fair game. You know what I'm saying? If we make that agreement, and he knew. I mean, he handled it just fine. He got pissed and he felt the emotion again, and he got through it and had an exceptional interview. He stayed on point. His message was great. Listen, there's things that would piss me off if people brought up, and I would vent my frustration and anger on it, and then I'd move on. He was a class interview. Did very, very well. Very impressed. Not all about me. I did want to ask him one question though, which is like, but I didn't want to get confrontational. And this one sounded a little confrontational, so he might hear this and call back and go, "Dude, this is my answer." But do you take any responsibility for the decision you made? And that to me is important. And I think when he gets to that point, like, I know I was addicted to Oxy, and I know that I put on a ton of weight, and I know I was a jerk to people in the workplace, and I know I haven't been the best dad sometimes, and I know blah, 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 blah. Do I take responsibility for it? Yes. Every one of those things was my choice, my fault, and I take responsibility for it. And when you can do that, I think that's the next phase of Scott's life, is to sit here and say, listen, here's why I did it, but nobody made me. I was naive. I did this. I thought it sounded good. And I did what most young people do. I made a stupid long-term choice for a short-term problem. And I think when Scott gets there, and I bet you, within the next 3 years, Scott finds somebody and possibly gets married. Chuck Peters, I got him. Great show tonight, $100. Thank you, Chucky. Thank you. We've got 7 minutes. But I think Scott's going to find that person. And I think when he gets to that place, it's going to be amazing for him.
If Scott is still watching, and I'm going to reach out to him after the fact and make sure that I convey this too. In our talks leading up to the show, we had actually, messaged back and forth a few times on like Facebook Messenger kind of deal. And something that had dawned on me when he was talking about whether or not he trusted himself to get into another relationship and, kind of expose those raw nerves again. Right. And something that I have learned, Matt and I have both been married for both plus 2 decades. Right.
Yeah.
Sandy and I, we just got done celebrating our 29th. That was 2 months ago.
Congratulations.
And Matt, you're on like 27, right?
26.
27, 28?
26, but living in sin for longer.
Ah.
We're right there with you. We're right there with you living in sin.
Yeah.
Actually, I think we've been, wait a second. I think we've been married for 23, together for 26. So, yeah.
Yeah. But something that I have come to learn, and my wife is watching this right now, and it's probably going to torque her off. I'll probably end up sleeping alone tonight. But something that I had learned over many, many years is that, everyone has those rough nights. Everyone is going to have those nights where they come home, they're just not ready to make a dinner or deal with garbage or walk and talk, this kind of thing. And sometimes people get pretty grumpy. And at the end of the day, sometimes when people feel ultra critical of themselves and they don't feel attractive, or they don't feel like, oh, I'm a shitty husband, or I'm a shitty wife, and I just don't look the part anymore. I don't look like I did when I was 20 something or other. And that was when this person fell in love with me. The whole point of that growth, right? That whole point of a plus 30-year relationship is that at some point, that is definitely not the person that you married when you were 21. And in some way, shape, or form, you now love a completely different person. But there's something beyond that too. It almost comes down to this idea of loving the unlovable, right? And that means yourself, because a lot of times we take a lot of shit for ourselves. So we have a hard time forgiving ourselves. And in some way, Matt hit on it earlier in the show. If you can't love yourself, how the hell are you going to love somebody else? Right? And so you have to, on some front, love the unlovable, and that might be you.
I think religion has a lot to do with forgiveness and self-acceptance. And I think that is what's missing in society today, is the moral compass that we receive from religion. And even if it doesn't take, people still grow a conscience for how they act. And it may not be seen externally, but internally, that they're going through it. And there's different levels of it. And societal normality is essential for tribalism. It really is. I mean, you've got to be able to accept social norms. And that's hard for people. And that's like for people like Nick Fuentes, who's like, oh yeah, Jews, they need to be, killed and murdered, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, that's my free speech. Yeah, but there is a line of societal norms that need to be followed in a civilized society. Otherwise, we might as well just be the Shaka Zulu tribe or something. I mean, or randomly go ahead and just, shrink people's heads and wear them on a belt. I mean, if you don't have those societal norms, and I think the reason why people push back on transgenderism so much and homosexuality or anything else is that if it's not societally acceptable, it's shunned. And I think people miss what you just said is that person's unlovable to me because I can't understand them. That's not societal norms. That's your prejudice and you're biased. And it's okay to have those things. I mean, there's people who are probably like, nope, hated this show, never want a person like that on my, and that's okay. You can feel that way. Just don't say that it's a societal norm that's causing you to do that. That is your own personal biases that you've created that's doing that. Because if we're following the Word of God, if we're following the Bible, and it's hard for me, it talks about that judgment. It talks about acceptance. It talks about loving thy enemy. It talks about these things, and I'm not very good at it, but that's my fault. That isn't society's fault. And I think people need to recognize the difference when they're making judgment or passing judgment on people, is they always like to blame, well, the good word says this, or the Bible says this, or my mom and dad raised me, or I'm a sailor, so I cuss. There's personal accountability in all of those things. You're just shoving it off on something else so you can say it's acceptable, and it's not. Right. Scott deserves to be treated like a human being by every single person on the planet. Every person. Yep. And if you don't, that's you. That's all.
Yeah. And when someone says that, well, this is who I am, right? When they're that vulnerable to really expose themselves, first of all, how do you not love that, right? That genuineness, which I think I absolutely saw in Scott. So kudos to him, man. But when someone tells you who they are, then what kind of person are you to not accept them in a matter of, oh, well, I'm just going to go ahead and sit down and marry this person? No, but you can be civil with that person.
Right. It doesn't make you any less of a person.
Right. You can have a conversation or a spirited debate even.
Yeah. Like you and I talked about this before.
Sure.
And I told you, I said, I'm not comfortable with this because I think this degrades men. And it does. But that doesn't mean that that's Scott's fault. Those are my own insecurities, my own inequities that I'm projecting onto him. That's all it means.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm with you. I'm with you.
No,
by the way, God bless you when you sneezed.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Listen, folks, we got 40 seconds, and we're $170 down. We would like to at least break even on the show. This is what's hard, folks. Let's just be transparent. When we have guests, we hold the donations, but then this happens, and it makes it really hard to have guests on, and almost to a point where we're going to have to do it less, because it makes it hard unless somebody like Kimberly Jurgmeyer comes in and gives 100. All right, I'm going to shut up. I'm not going to say it. Okay. Thank you for tonight's show. Leeroy, you did good. Leeroy, you did awesome. I'm very proud of you.
So much.
I'm very proud of you. You did just fine. I will critique as always and say some things that I think that you did great, and there's some things that I think that you could improve on, and we'll do that like you do with me. And the thing I would tell you is you are an insightful human being, and you take so much pride in what you do, and I love that about you. There's no but with that, and that is just awesome, and I want you to do more of this. I really do. And there's times where I just want to go and have you just run the show. We've talked about this, and I think it's great for your relationship with the fans, and I thank you for your tutelage and your kindness to help run this tonight, because I think you were the best person for the job. I really do.
Thank you.
I think you did a better job than I could have. Here is a quick video I want to talk about, and then we're going to get off. We're going to try to hit that last portion of our goal, which now we are at, hold on. We are at $231, so we're $70 away. Here is the video. Kim, thank you so much. Thank you for everyone who's donated tonight. Here is this video. This is about Epstein, and you may have heard there were some emails that were released, that were already released. I go through it, break it down, bring the receipts. People are absolutely pissed at me. Threads, I've been called a pedophile more times today than I think. Oh, yeah. You're a pedo protector. Here it is. Just listen.
What's wrong with people?
Oh, well, you're about to find out why. They get very upset when they hear the truth.
Folks, Democrats, they're desperate. Why? Well, because they're bringing up Jeffrey Epstein once again. Lockdown is over. Time for a new distraction. And all Republicans are just sick and tired of this. We've been seeing this story for way too long. Release the files. Release the files. I don't really understand what files you would like. Maybe you could be very specific and let us know, because there is no Epstein list. The lawyers have said this, and everyone else in the DOJ has said this, including the Biden administration, when they released files 9 months before Trump took office. And then Pam Bondi released files, as we know, which weren't good enough for you guys because there were binders involved. And then the DOJ went ahead and did a release dump as well. There are 38,000 files out there, and it looks like you guys haven't read any of them. But you are busy doing something, taking some of those files and redacting names out of them. Virginia Guffey was the mention of this email, which was done in 2024, which the DOJ released. Interesting enough, right after the lockdown, as the entire narrative fail around Democrats caving in and buckling, they decided to go ahead and release emails that were already released and redacted the names from them. Well, why would they do that? Well, it creates supposition, doubt, and derision. And that's exactly what's happening. The pedophile must resign. Donald Trump is this. Donald Trump is that. And nothing says that. In fact, they're even saying that in 2017, he secretly met with Jeffrey Epstein in London. They also said he had Thanksgiving dinner with Epstein. If only there was some sort of way that we could track the location of the President of the United States on Thanksgiving in 2017. Oh, wait, we do know he was in Mar-a-Lago having dinner and addressing the troops with this video.
My fellow Americans, Melania and I would like to wish you a blessed and joyful Thanksgiving.
Democrats, it's old, it's stupid, it doesn't work. Do you remember when you used to say, well, he smelled and then he pooped his pants and tried to reject Biden on the Trump? Do you remember when he talked about P-tapes? Do you remember when you wired his office? Do you remember when you set him up with the document scandal or the valuation of Mar-a-Lago where there was no victim? Or Letitia James, E. Jean Carroll, 2 impeachments? It's been done. You've tried everything. You're never going to catch him. You're never going to get rid of him. The only thing that's going to get rid of him is God or time. And unfortunately, we're both out of it. Watch the show tonight at 7 o'clock. See you then.
Rap it hard.
Got a spot fucking on.
Yeah, man, I'm done writing them. I go and I build my premise, and then I'm done doing it. I would used to read it. I just give it from, this is what I'm good at now. I don't need notes. I just do it from the heart and put it out there, and they're doing much better. Thoughts overall on what they're doing to Trump now with the Epstein thing? I mean, obviously they only have so many things that they can run on because they've tried just about everything. And this Epstein thing seems to stick. At least it's good rage bait for the base, right? The base loves this shit.
It's one of those clickbait headlines that seems to have a lot of longevity behind it. Because it seems like America has a pretty short memory, and they have probably, to some degree, already moved on from the Venezuelan boats that are bringing over drugs. And you know, for a while, the headline or the accusation was that, oh, well, we don't know that those are drug runners, right? And now that has already been debunked. Now they're, kind of reverting back to Epstein. CJ Jenkins, donated $21.10, says, I'll rewatch. Running late tonight. No
$47 away. $47 away. Thank you, CJ.
So much, CJ. And so they have to go through this gambit. It's like there's a predetermined flow chart that says, well, when this one fails, we now have to move to this one. Now we have to move to this one. But the baseline will always seem to revert back to Epstein's files. Yeah.
Do you think the Republican Party is painting themselves into a corner that they're never going to get out of? Because I will tell you that MAGA has not been successful at all outside of 2016 and 2024 presidential elections. 2020 was successful too, but came up short. But it was an amazing. I mean, he got the second most votes ever compared to Biden. They beat Obama, Biden and Trump, which is ridiculous. Because that's like somebody beating Reagan versus Mondale, right? It's unbelievable. So, do you think that the Republicans are in deep shit? Or do you think there's enough talent? Because I think they've made to the younger conservative movement better than the liberals have, because there's not a lot of young liberal talent, especially when you're hitting up AOC and Mamdani, socialists, to fill your gaps. Do you think we're going to have a problem in transition away from Trump?
I don't. And I think largely that comes down to the fact that when you peel away all of the rhetoric and the headlines and the accused criminal, enterprise that everyone is trying to pin on him, when you peel all of that horse shit away, right? And if you were to line up, right, the Democrat and the Republican Party platforms going into the next, couple of elections, the Republican Party has largely remained pretty consistent with its messaging. Lower taxes, control immigration. We don't want illegal, taking everyone's jobs. They've stayed on point, right? Whereas the Democrat Party has slid so far in their messaging.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
and if they were to try and move back to the middle, how do you do that without contradicting just the last administration's messages?
Right.
So all of the messages from either Kamala Harris or Biden before that, at one point or another, you can find pretty consistent messaging from Biden saying that he was against gay marriage, saying that he was for stronger border security, that he wanted stronger criminal bills. It wasn't that long ago.
Tariffs were actually a useful tool.
Right. And so what you find is more of a consistent message on the Republican side versus the left, who seems to contradict themselves. And certainly there are contradictions on the right too, but nothing like you can literally turn any YouTube video and find a contradiction in the left somewhere.
You saw this with Kamala, is that you saw the closer she got to the general election, she had to move to center. And everybody's like, you're stealing all of Trump's ideas. This is Trump's been saying this.
Right.
You have it. They're like,
no
you
tax
might as well
on
just go
tips,
ahead.
no tax on overtime, all that crap.
We can go on. And even the abortion policy. So everyone, so this is what they're pigeonholing them. And they're even further left than they were with Kamala. I mean, the last year, they have literally moved into socialism. That is who's running the party. And they're going to have to move to the middle in a general. We may lose the midterms, but the presidency, I'll be honest with you, folks. If this continues and this movement, remember, there were 7 states that pushed socialist leaders, legislators, senators, gubernatorial races, mayoral races, city council races. 7 states had 7 key positions in those states be for socialist. Now, in that situation, only 2 won, but it doesn't mean that that wasn't influential. Now, this is what happened with the Nazi Party, is every election, they got bigger and bigger. When they first started out, it was 3, and it was 7, and it was 26, then it was 70. This is what's happening in the Democratic Party. So the more crazy they become, the more leftist ideas they can push, and people go, well, that's the center now. They tried to redefine the center. Well, they're going to have to go ahead and run on that in 2026 and come over, and every time they do, every Republican's going to say, oh, you sound like Donald Trump. That was a Donald Trump policy. And they're going to malign themselves more with Donald Trump than the right is, because the right can disassociate and say, listen, it was my party president. What did you want me to do? But here's my voting record. Here's what I've done. Democrats are going to have to come on the Trump side because he's taken all the key positions away from them and turned them into an 80-20 talking point, and they're all on the 20 side.
Exactly.
So don't give up on the Republican Party.
Kamala Harris. Oh, I don't. I'm
not talking to you. I'm not talking to you. We're talking to the people. I'm not talking to you.
I forget that they're there sometimes.
Holy shit. Are they with you in the room right now? Last minute. Folks, we're 2:53. Somebody's going to come in and save the day. I know that for sure. We're $47 away. So I know you took your minute with Scotty. Take your minute with the show. And I'll take mine and we'll be good to go.
This was one of those shows that I had been trying to plan for a very long time. And it's not that I have been pursuing Scott to come on the show, because honestly, that was a relatively quick turnaround.
Yeah.
It wasn't more than a month. But I had been looking for the appropriate time and the appropriate person to contextualize everything that we just got done talking about. And boy, was that a home run. Scott is an amazing person. That was a huge success in my eyes.
Thank you.
I
Yeah.
certainly hope that his messaging carries through. For everyone who is watching, who knows someone
Yeah.
or who is dealing with a kid or a grandkid who is, oh, I was born in the wrong body. Please understand the points that Scott was talking about. And please feel free or reach out to us personally if you need to.
Yeah.
But
And if anybody wants to get a hold of Scott and ask him questions, please let me know, and I can work through getting his email for you. I have to ask him first. I want to get his permission, but I'm pretty sure that he'll be appreciative of that. Want to thank Leeroy. We'll let you guys in on a couple things. Saturday night, we will be in Arlington at an undisclosed location with about 150 of Barry's friends, and we like to think that we're good friends. He's excited to have us down there, and Olivia and I are going to go down and shake hands and meet a whole bunch of cool people, and we're going to go celebrate his book launch. It's doing very, very well. He was on Megyn Kelly's show yesterday, and he's sold a couple hundred books, and if you have not had a chance, go get Rock and Soul over at ballastbooks.com. We are in the back, which is great. He mentions the Don't Unfriend Me show, which is awesome. Go and do that. Barry is a good friend, and I'm going to tell him this is 3 times now I've come and seen your ass, and you're coming to my house, and if you don't, we're done. I'm going to let him know that. But we're going to be with him Friday. We're going to have some drinks in Arlington, and it's going to be a good time, and we'll make sure we take some bunch of photos. And maybe we'll see Tucker and Megan there, and that would be awesome. And there will not be a pre-recorded show on Saturday because it's Saturday. But we'll be here live tomorrow with Olivia and I. Red Friday, we'll be here. We have a lot to cover. We got a whole bunch of stuff that we could have covered tonight, and we can't because Scott was here. And second, if you all know, you've known me for 5 years. I've been a Colorado Avalanche fan for 30-some-odd years. It's the 30th anniversary this year for the Avalanche, but I was a Quebec Nordiques fan when I was a Kings fan. I still enjoyed the Quebec Nordiques when they came to town, and I really, really appreciated some of the players that played for them. And I just want to let you know what's happening with the Avs is really just something you can't really understand until you watch the games. The Colorado Avalanche are doing something that's just I can't explain it to you, but it's like if Wayne Gretzky turned into a team, this is what you could witness. The 5-on-5 differential for this team is so astronomically unbelievable. Their WAR rating, all these things that you don't understand, but let me just explain. The numbers are incredible. And if I could just explain it the best way, if this was football terms, this would be like winning 17 in a row and going to the Super Bowl and getting your bye and winning 2 times to win the Super Bowl. This is what they're doing right now and what they're on pace for. They just started their game. They scored in 52 seconds. They are one of the best 5-on-5 teams that has honestly ever played in the NHL within the last 17 games. But this is now a big enough sample size that this is phenomenal. Just to give you an understanding, in the last 17 games, they've gotten a point in 16 of them. They are now 11, 1, and 5. That's incredible. And the only other team to have done this is the 16-0-2 Boston Bruins. And the Avs are right there. And they are just doing incredible things. So this is important to me. I love hockey. I think it's one of the greatest sports in the world. Some people don't give a shit about it. But if you have not watched the Avs, do yourself a favor. Turn it on. It's fun and it's exciting. And they're doing something that's incredible. And every sports columnist and even every fan right now, even the people who hate the Avs, are saying this. You have the A teams, the B teams, the C teams. The A teams are going to make the playoffs, but just squeak in. You have the S teams who could possibly win the cup. These are the really, really good teams. And you have the elite teams. Then there's one category completely all on its own. It's the Colorado Avalanche. That's where they're at right now, and this is the exact same place they were in 2022 when they won the cup. So go watch the Avs if you have not had a chance, please, and try to enjoy it. Leeroy, thanks for sitting around for that. We did not get saved We are going to miss goal, and you know what? I'm okay with it. That's close enough. We want to say thank you to everybody. We appreciate you. God bless, and thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys Friday night. Leeroy, thanks for a great show, man.
Yeah, man.
Oh!
Everyone take care.
You go.
All right.
I got it.
Everyone take care, and thank you so much to everyone who donated, and thank you to Scott for coming on the show. Thank you to Matt for allowing the platform for us to even come on. So everyone take care of each other, and love you guys. Take care.
Love you too, buddy. Hey, Liv. Livy. Sorry, we had a donation, and I forgot to put it in because it was from last night. Please put in Tammy. I can't remember Tammy's last name. Hold on. Tammy donated, and I want to make sure she's taken care of. And that'll bring us closer. Tammy. Tammy Della Jose. It's 20. I don't know what it is, but Tammy, thank you. All right, we're going to put that in there. And that's going to bring us up to 278. That's close enough. Tammy, thank you for your donation. I got it this morning, and I wanted to make sure we put it in for you. I'm going to let you see it, so I'm going to stay on and make sure you can see it. Folks, if you've not had a chance to do this, please like, share, and subscribe. Also, Christmas, plenty of shirts, wonderful coffee, a whole bunch of other stuff waiting for you at thedumbshow.com. Go do it. We're shipping shirts all the way up until Christmas. We've got some great stuff. Use code DUMB10 for me, please, so you can get yourself 10% off. We're just waiting for this donation. We try to put everybody in, and I don't want to pass up until it's up there. So watch the Avs. Have a good show tomorrow. There we go. Tammy, yours is the only show I watch now, and I've seen most of the conservative shows. I just want the truth at this point, and I believe your show's it. Please keep doing what you do. Yes, Tammy, we absolutely will. De La Hosa is her name, I believe. Tammy, thank you so much. Good night, everybody. Thanks for watching the Don't Unfriend Me Show. God bless. We'll see you Friday night tomorrow, 7 o'clock. Good night.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leeroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.